Imagine a museum basement on a hot December afternoon in 1938, smelling of dust and alcohol. Marjorie Curtin Latimer, a young curator, is sorting drawers when a phone rings from East London's docks. A trawler has hauled in something strange. Curiosity pulls her toward the smell of fish and the sound of gulls. They're slate blue. Armored in ancient scales lies a creature textbooks insist vanished alongside the dinosaurs millions of years ago. The captain shrugs. Markets won't pay for a mystery, and ice is melting fast under the sun. Marjorie feels the weight of time in her hands, its history pressed into every armored plate. The fish is too large for a taxi. Its thick tail protrudes awkwardly from the crate. She flags down a truck, hauls it to the museum, and writes a letter that changes science. Her note reaches J. L. B. Smith, a chemist and fish obsessive with an eye for the rare. When Smith finally sees the specimen, he trembles. This is no shark, nor any familiar bony fish. It is a coelacanth, thought extinct for 66 million years, known only from fossil slabs and stone. Suddenly the past is breathing, slate blue and speckled, with fins like muscular arms wrapped in scale mail. I'm your guide today, a science communicator, leading you into this detective story and evolutionary epic. We'll meet people chasing rumors across oceans, and the fish carrying blueprints for the limbs we walk on. From the Chalumna River to volcanic Comoros coast, the coelacanth reminds us the fossil record hides missing chapters. Picture it as Marjorie saw, 5 feet long, lobed fins jointed like ancient arms flexing in cool water. A hinged skull and intracranial joint lets the head tilt up like a visor, revealing its prehistoric design. The tail ends in a 3-lobed fan. Under the snout sits a rostral organ sensing prey's electricity. Its scales are thick and cosmoid, ancient armor flecked with white spots like constellations in a deep-sea sky. Each fish has a unique star map of spots, making individuals identifiable even in the dark. This is no resurrected fossil. It is a lineage that quietly survived in deep volcanic caves. By day, coelacanths hover head down in shadowed grottos, metabolism low, conserving precious energy for night foraging. By night, they glide out, beating limb-like fins in an alternating rhythm like walking underwater in slow motion. When the first specimen was announced, newspapers called it a living fossil, a term that both thrills and misleads. Living? Yes. Fossil? No. Evolution never stopped. It simply shaped this fish for a slow, enduring deep-sea life. They grow slowly, live long, and produce few young, trading speed for the stability of centuries-old strategies. Smith pleaded with governments and fishermen to watch for more, even offering rewards for another rare catch. For years, nothing came until 1952, when a Comorian fisherman brought in a second coelacanth from the deep. Smith flew a military aircraft to fetch it on ice, naming it Latimeria Chalumnae for Marjorie's courage. Now the map had a point, the Comoros, where coelacanths gather in twilight grottos beneath steep volcanic shores. The question changed from is it real, to what can it teach us about our own origins? Those muscular lobes place it amongst our Coptorigi, the lobe-finned fishes that include lungfish and our earliest tetrapod ancestors. The architecture for wrists and ankles first flexed in water, carried by bodies like this, millions of years ago. Our ancestors adapted that blueprint for walking on land. Coelacanths refined it for hovering in open water. Submersibles revealed what fossils could not. Barrel rolls, headstands, and delicate fins culling into tight rocky crevices. Biologists found embryos inside some females, proving live birth after an astonishing 5-year gestation period. Such a slow life cycle makes every individual precious, survival balanced on a narrow edge. The coelacanth's fate now rests on how we treat these rare gifts from the deep when they appear. Let's linger on anatomy, because every feature carries a clue about survival in the slow lane. The skull's unique hinge widens the mouth without lowering the jaw, saving effort where calories are scarce. Paired lobed fins move alternately, left and right, like for oars stabilizing the fish in surge and eddy. The tail's third lobe, A small median fin works like a trim tab for precise underwater control. Inside, a fatty organ replaces the gas bladder, using oil instead of air to beat crushing pressure. The vertebral column is a notochord, a flexible rod letting the fish undulate without wasting precious energy. That rostral organ grants a sixth sense. Imagine hunting without light, listening for prey with your face. Weak electric fields flicker through the jelly-filled sensor, guiding the coelacanth like a living antenna toward hidden dinner. When the submersible's lights sweep across it, the fish doesn't bolt, it holds still, poised and unhurried. In a world built for speed, this is a master of balance, patience, and energy conservation. Yet the coelacanth isn't a time traveler, it's a specialist shaped by millions of years of adaptation. Calling it a living fossil can mislead. Fossils show ancient relatives with different bodies, diets, and fin rays. What survived is the broader lineage lobe-fin fishes exploring many evolutionary paths, one leading to our wrists and ankles. The coelacanth isn't our ancestor, it's a cousin who stayed underwater and perfected the art of hovering. Paleontologists use a concept called the Lazarus taxon when a lineage vanishes from fossils, then reappears alive. Sometimes the fossil record misses a habitat. Sometimes populations are too small or scattered to leave traces. The coelacanth wasn't resurrected. The lights in its story simply came back on after a long darkness. How do we study a creature living far below safe diving limits? We get creative and collaborative. Local fishers shared knowledge of cold, treacherous currents and deep walls where nets sometimes snagged coelacanths. Scientists partnered with them, trading posters for conversation, building trust over coffee and respect for night water. Submersibles eased into the caves, keeping respectful distances while recording hours of glowing white spots in darkness. Biologists mapped home caves, commuting routes, and timelines, slowly piecing together the fish's life story. X-rays and CT scans revealed embryos with yolk scars, proof of live birth after 5-year pregnancies. A female may bear fewer than 20 pups, making each adult lost a chapter erased from history. Lifespans span decades. Maturity comes late, leaving the species exquisitely sensitive to change or overfishing. Even the starry flecks on its skin break up its outline under moonlight or submersible beams. Photo ID catalogs track individuals by these unique patterns, creating a constellation-based census over years. Behavior studies showed head-down tilts, perhaps reading slopes with the lateral line, then pivoting to glide toward prey. In 1997, a honeymooning traveler in North Sulawesi spotted a familiar starry blue silhouette at a market. A year later, a fisherman brought one from deep water near Manado Tua, confirming a second living species. Scientists named it Latimeria menadoensis, distinct from its African cousin, separated by thousands of kilometers of ocean. Each species thrives in volcanic shorelines, discovered not in labs first, but by people living with the sea. The lesson repeats: discovery is conversation, not just lab coats under fluorescent light. It happens on rocking boats, in island kitchens, and late-night airports with foam coolers holding time machines. As the 20th century closed, new tools emerged: quieter ROVs, softer lights, and smarter image recognition software. Every improvement deepened the truth. To understand a survivor, you must match its speed and wait patiently. Standing on a pier under southern stars, I listened to a fisherman describe the sea's breathing and moods. He spoke of breaths the water takes when the moon rakes reefs, of cold fingers from the slope. Some nights, he said, nets must be kept high because the wall itself is alive and moving. He'd never read about Latimeria, but he knew the caves by how the current thickened near them. Pulling a heavy blue fish from the wall meant the sea would feel thinner for many months. His boat carried practical wisdom that now anchors conservation efforts, stronger than any poster or government proclamation. For a species like this, conservation is not a sign, it is a pact between people and place. Coelacanths aren't targeted for food, being bony and oily, but they die in deep gill nets for sharks. A single entanglement can end a life that took decades to mature in a fragile deep water balance. Coastal lights and noise shift prey patterns, disrupting the delicate routine of leaving and returning to lava caves. Solutions grow from communities. Mark drop-offs to keep nets high, limit night soaks, and protect entire walls, not points. Some governments grant strict protection and fold habitats into marine reserves. Trade bans help, but locals remain true guardians. Science bears its own responsibility. Early rediscovery years saw specimens taken from museums in the rush to classify. Now ethics have shifted. We tag, film, measure with lasers, and leave individuals in their home caves. Researchers plan with fishers to move gear, and island councils set depth-based sanctuaries to guard volcanic walls. The coelacanth also teaches what fossils can't shout: behavior, posture, energy budgets, and subtle underwater social patterns. Footage shows a female drafting behind a male, saving energy in surge, a ballet of positioning. Groups hold still like constellations while plankton snow drifts past, each movement precise in the dim cave mouth. The head down tilt reads currents like braille, then a controlled glide overtakes a drifting squid without wasted speed. Time is the real protagonist here. Deep time is an ocean of experiments, not a desert of dates. Most experiments end, some continue, and a precious few endure by changing, but just enough to remain in play. The coelacanth did not freeze in history. It learned quiet in a world grown loud and restless. We too chose the long game, quiet observation over conquest, presence over trophies, patience over hurried conclusions. That patience builds trust far beyond one species, helping future collaborations between science and local knowledge flourish. A honeymoon stroll through a market became an international relay: photographs, messages, cold storage, and community consent for research. In Sulawesi and the Comoros alike, the fish lives in stories of people tied to the water. If you are a young scientist or artist, let fishers and elders be your co-authors in discovery. A wildlife artist once sketched a coelacanth shyly turned, fins scuffed, spots uneven, with one faint extra constellation. Later, a researcher recognized the same individual from photo ID records. Art caught what measurement alone had missed. If you simply love stories, let this one grow your patience. Wonder is often a quiet agreement. The rediscovery does not promise every lost creature still swims, but it proves humility is a scientific tool. Approach the unknown with care, and sometimes the unknown will answer, offering a page missing from our records. A child who learns her seawall hides an ancient neighbor may one day spare a slope from damage. When you read scientists were wrong, read with generosity. Correction is calibration, not failure. In the long arc, we build from fragments and revise with gratitude when the sea lends us a piece of its memory. The coelacanth is not a victory lap, it is a responsibility we inherit for as long as it lives. We owe it dark caves free from hooks, steady currents, and years of quiet for embryos to grow. Protecting this fish means protecting the reef fish, octopuses, and sharks sharing the walls, shelter, and hunting grounds. So, we end as we began, with the curator opening a crate that smelled sharply of the tide. She saw a shape that made every book feel incomplete, a presence thought lost and now returned to view. Decades later, with better cameras and ethics, we watch it alive, facing current, calm, and wholly at home. The wonder is not that a fish came back from the dead, it's that we learned to notice it. Deep time is still speaking, in caves and markets, in currents over stone, in careful field notes and art. If we keep that agreement, patience, respect, room for surprise, the next impossible fish will join our shared, ongoing story.